Hello and welcome to the ElseNerds Show, a production of Galactic Networks. I'm Gregor Sprague, and Corey was on a jet plane, so we didn't ask him to come on because, he was here in Michigan. Now he's back in California where he belongs. But joining me for this special episode is Brad Ludwig, host of Adventure Party and Weird World Weekly, and maybe creating future podcasts for Galactic Networks
Yep.
and all that. And before I properly introduce him, a warning: we will spoil stuff and we will swear. You have been warned. And I apologize for spoiling stuff. If you catch it later, send all hate mail to mail@ElseNerds.com. Brad, how you doing, sir?
I am doing very well, Gregor. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. Yeah, so let's just get right into the news. And the first, as something's touching the back of my leg and just bugging me. Sorry. The first news story is we have a premiere date for the Starz TV series American Gods. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what the American Gods is about, it is based off of Neil Gaiman's books of the book series, and it's a war between the old gods and the new, not Game of Thrones, not that one. But you have the old gods, the ones who are set in mythology, so the Roman Greek gods, and then you have this new the new gods, like money, technology, celebrity, and all that. And in the words of Dan Trachtenberg, hilarity ensues. So I read the little bits of the story, and I'm like, wait a minute, they just did this in the Hercules comic book on Marvel like last year and all that. I'm like, this is a really cool, and that was a cool concept. And if they base it on here, great, whatever. But so I'm not as excited because I don't know that much about. I've never read the books.
Oh, okay.
But I'm excited because I enjoy Neil Gaiman, his episodes that he wrote on Doctor Who, and everything else that I've seen of him. I enjoy his stuff, so I'm pretty sure I'll enjoy this. And even the cast, with Ian McShane, Emily Browning, um, Crispin Glover, Orlando Jones, like these people I'm just seeing in here. It's like, okay, yes, like now please, just come on. And I think I'm bearing the lead here of by failing to mention the premiere date is April 30th. So we've got just about a month and a half.
Yeah, I've read American Gods two or three times, and I just read it probably, oh god, I want to say about a month ago. So it's still kind of fresh in my head. American Gods is just one book. So this first season is going to take you through, I think they said about the first third of the book. And yeah, they did some tweaks here and there, but based on the first still that you see of the bar, where it had that like crocodile sort of a alligator theme, it is dead on. That's how it was described in the book. They painstakingly were trying to be as true to the source material as possible. And Neil Gaiman has like glowing things to say about what he's seen of the production. So it's a great book, and it looks like they're working really hard to make it a great TV series. So
and honestly, that's what I like to see. And I would hate as a nerd in general to see to see them, because this is what Brian Fuller left Star Trek Discovery for, was to essentially finish this, because he was already well involved in the American Gods project. So I would hate to see this not be the success that it deserves to be and all that.
yep.
Especially because I know you'll get a lot of Star Trek nerds going, you should have stuck with Star Trek, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you what's got you most excited about this?
The cast is one of the big things. When I saw that Ian McShane was playing Mr. Wednesday, who essentially, spoiler alert, is the American version of Odin.
Yeah.
I heard it and it soaked into my brain and I went, my God, that's absolutely fucking brilliant. Because Ian McShane brings such intensity, and he's just a marvelous actor. And to all the things that happen in the book, and the more I thought about the Mr. Wednesday in the book and thought about the work that Ian McShane has done in the past, I'm like, my God, that is just perfect casting. They painstakingly tried to find the right people for the parts that they had that were available for this. Orlando Jones is perfect for Mr. Nancy. Everything that they've listed here has just been, my God. It's just I read the name and I went, oh my God, that's brilliant. And the next name, my God, that's brilliant. And it didn't stop. So it's Cloris Leachman. For the character that they chose her to do is absolutely perfect. And Cloris Leachman, God bless her. I don't know how old she is, but she's
86.
still got it. She has still got it in spades. And that particular character in the book is perfect for her. It's just like they specifically, like I said, they specifically chose people to play these characters that are like, yes, of course you'd choose that person. Why would you choose anybody else? That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, and for those of you guys who don't realize this, Cloris Leachman was first brought onto us by the TV show Raising Hope.
Well, just like all the work that she did with Young Frankenstein and even within the past 15 years, Sky High, she was the nurse at Sky High. Mm-hmm. She's got incredible range, but she's also got, there's a bit of humor to this character that she's playing in American Gods, and she can do understated comedy and she can do in your face comedy, and it just perfect.
No, yeah, she got her start on I believe it was the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Sure.
And I used the introducing, first seeing, because that's how they had her on Raising Hope. It was always an introducing Cloris Leachman and all that, which came out, I believe it ended in 2014, so still relatively new as well, and canceled way before, or canceled too soon. They could have got some more out there because she was a big part of that show. But yeah, I'm excited for this, mainly for the fact that this is Starz finally getting some stuff out there that I think will hit for a lot of people. Like there was the Torchwood stuff that was like good, if not necessarily great, but I mean it was, and all that. But then there's the other things that it was just like didn't seem like it interested a lot of people. And it's like this is hopefully them getting to that HBO stand, like not quality, but that HBO mindset of let's do original stuff. Let's not just be the cable add-on that people get when they pay for tier 3 of their cable.
Sure.
And stuff like that.
Well, I think a lot of those channels are looking for their Game of Thrones to, push them forward. I know that Pat Rothfuss's book, The Name of the Wind series, the King Killer Chronicle, that was optioned, and Lin-Manuel is set to produce. So I mean, they're working towards making that happen. And again, that's like epic fantasy that you could do a number of seasons off just based off the first 2 books in the series. So
No, yeah, definitely. And our next story is the remaining cast for Disney's Marvel presents in the Inhumans. For the Inhumans TV show, has been announced. They have cast. Oh, I'm blanking on his name. He's the lead on Hell on Wheels. He's playing Black Bolt, and
okay.
they've already had some set photos out, including a pre CGI Lockjaw, which I'm like, all right,
Oh
that's
yeah, I saw that.
yeah. But the let's see here, you have rounding out the casting of from people who they got on. So we now have, and I'm gonna butcher his name, and I apologize. M.A. Ukwekor from Concussion and Extant as Gorgon. Isabel Cornish from Australia Day, Puberty Blues as Crystal, Medusa's little sister, who is Medusa's played by Serinda Swan. Mike Moe from Empire and Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. He'll be playing Triton. And then they actually have a couple of new. They have a new character in here. I love how they put in the casting Lockjaw as
As
himself.
himself.
But they have a newer character in here with Sonia Belmores playing Arian, who I believe was introduced during Charles Soule's run with the Inhumans at Marvel, recently. Or at least she's one that a lot of people do not know about or did not know about until he used her and all that. But this is really cool. I mean, we've got Anson Mount will be Black Bolt, Iwan Rheon from Game of Thrones, and where I've seen him from first was Misfits, will be playing Maximus the Mad. Serinda Swan from Grace Ballers and Graceland is Queen Medusa, and then you will know him best from Lost. Ken Leung is set to is going to be playing Karnak. So this is Marvel TV getting some casting choices with both the 2 TV shows that they got that are coming out the soonest with this and Runways. Pretty much, when like you see photos of these people, it's like, okay, yeah, I could see that, I could see that, I could see that with all of them. So, what do you think about this casting, there, Brad?
I'm really looking for of I only know of the work of like maybe one person on this cast list. I think it's cool that they are going to be doing the Inhumans. It's going to be interesting to see how they do essentially the royal family story, since they've already kind of started the Inhuman story in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it'll be interesting to see how they weave that tale and how that comes about. So I am looking forward to it. And IMAX.
Yeah. That's going to be the interesting part for the first 2 weeks. I think it's for 8 days apiece. There'll be a 2-week window in September of this year prior to the 8-episode run that will air the premiere of the show and all that. And that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm already planning on, going up to Lansing which would be, I think, the closest IMAX theater to go see this in IMAX.
Sure.
And, just have a rocking good time watching this. Because I'll say right now, especially with me being a newer comic book fan and reader, I do like that. I do like this casting because the Inhumans are something that I got into pretty quick on, and it was with with Black Bolt blowing up the Attilan and sending the Terrigen clouds around the world like we have now, which may or may not have led to some interesting choices for other Marvel properties, and all that. But this is really cool. This is really interesting. I cannot wait. And I think I will be upset if they make Black Bolt speak, and it not be destructive. If he's just like,
I don't think that they could, and not
yeah,
have the very audience they're trying to reach jump down their throats.
yeah, like that's like the one fear. I mean, like for everyone else, it's like the powers are simple, and he has simple powers too. But it's one of those like, how are we gonna work around it and stuff like that? And I mean, some of these guys, like for Triton, or not Triton, for Triton and Gorgon, I'm wondering, are they going to do heavy CGI, or not CGI, or prosthetics for them? Because I mean, Gorgon's a freaking goat guy,
Yeah.
so it's like, how are they going to do that? And but I don't know, I'm just really curious to see how this is going to work, and just excited for the news of this. And I mean, and to your point with the whole, you only heard of a few of them. I think this is where I've heard of most of them and seen them in a lot of the things. Um, like I mentioned before with the guy from Game of Thrones and Misfits, who's playing Maximus the Mad. This is another role where it seems like he's going against type, because on Misfits, where everyone was introduced to him, he was the shy. Well, there is a reason why his powers were he turned invisible on that show.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Yeah, and now it's like you get him playing Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones, a character that I think is right up there with Joffrey that people hate. And now Maximus the Mad, another person that's like, yeah, we're good. He's gonna be pretty bad here. And so yeah, like it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. The next story is another. I feel like this is a trade-off, like story for me, story for you, story for me, sort of thing. Because I haven't read any of this. I haven't read any Stephen King, but this is the news that Stephen King's Castle Rock will emerge on Hulu as an upcoming series, being produced by J.J. Abrams. And this is the anthology series that takes place in the fictitious town in Maine of Castle Rock. So what we're gonna get, like Cujo as a TV series, um, and all this, like for one season. Is that
No,
what we're gathering here?
they're being really tight-lipped, and Castle Rock is referenced in what is it? Cujo, Dead Zone. I think I remember reading The Body.
Yeah.
So like the trailer that we get to see is just like the listing of Stephen King's novels, just to kind of remind people of the enormous body of work that he has put together, and kind of teasing that J.J. Abrams is going to be a part of it. It's going to be. I'm going to be interested to see how they where they're going to take it.
Yeah. Well, and there was, because this is an older story, which we don't care here because we're going to talk about whatever we want. But there was an update to it that Castle Rock has landed a 10-episode order on Hulu, and they also call the series an ongoing series. So meaning they have enough faith in J.J. Abrams, Bad Robot, Stephen King, Warner Brothers Television, and then the two executive producers and co-writers, Sam Shaw and Dustin Thomason, that they do think it could get future seasons out of it. And I'm really, this is like where I haven't read a lot of, oh gosh, there's the one book, I cannot think of what it is right now, but I read it in high school because our English teacher made us read it in as a freshman. Um, oh, I cannot think of what it is right now, but that was a Stephen King book, and that was really sort of it. I mean, I haven't read any of the Dark Tower stuff. Even the Marvel comic adaptation, I haven't read any of that. And it's just one of those things where I'm like, all right, this is going to be interesting. But I've also heard a lot of bad things on the other project that they had at Hulu with 11/22/63. Like that wasn't the best thing that was out there.
Mm. Yeah, I know that there was a lot of hype for it. I wasn't all that interested, so I didn't check it out.
Yeah.
But they are writing a lot on the pedigree of the two, so it'll be interesting to see, who they get as writers, because Stephen King isn't necessarily going to be writing this. Maybe he'll contribute. They're not really saying, but it'll be interesting to see where they take this. And it looks like this is going to be its own thing, but still reference some of these other things that happened in the other books that Stephen King has done to just kind of tie things together. And who knows, maybe we'll see some of the characters from some of those other works that he's done. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what they've got planned.
Yeah. I always say this. Like I say these things not to be a pessimist and to poo-poo it. I'm always the optimist that stuff will be good. Hope for the best and then get the worst, as opposed to hope for the worst and get the best. Has always been my mindset. And our last news story for the ElseNews is a follow-up to our last episode, which was a while back ago. And until then, I think we had promised a all news episode, which we did not deliver, and other things. But it's a follow-up to there where we did a rundown of the shit sandwich that has been the new Batman movie. And not complaining about Ben Affleck as Batman or anything like that, but you go from, oh, he's writing it with Jeff Johns and he's going to direct it and star in it and it's going to come out sometime soon, to him going, we're not going to start filming it until the script is ready, and the script is not ready yet. And stuff that made me cautiously optimistic on here, because it's like, okay, yeah, he makes sense. Don't bring out a shit product on a thing you clearly love. And he loves Batman, he loves comic books. And then he goes, remember how I said I was going to direct? Yeah, not so much anymore. Like, and his excuse was valid, because he didn't want to give a half-assed directorial job or a half-assed performance as Batman. So he's like, I'm still going to be Batman. And then rumors came flying out that which I think were just a lot of people going, oh, there's going to be panic here. Let's spread rumors that he's going to leave as Batman too. I don't necessarily see that as being at all real. But then the latest thing is that Warner Brothers has made official that Matt Reeves will be the director who relaunches the next iteration of Batman. So this was rumored, but then it was denied and stuff like that. But Matt Reeves, who last directed, oh God, what was it? The third Planet of the Apes movie. That's what it was. And is a good, talented director in his own right, has stepped in. And so I am again thinking that this could be a good choice, because as a combo, I will say this, I do enjoy, as the Bruce Wayne Batman combo, I do like Ben Affleck's portrayal as both. And all, like Christian Bale was a good Batman, even though he talked like this all the time when he was the Batman. Um, and I, like a lot of people will say, my favorite Batman is going to be Kevin Conroy. Because that's what I grew up on. Like I don't know. I think I still have hope for this movie that it's going to be good. That we're going to see it, sometime up here. So what do you think of all this stuff, Brad?
I really kind of wonder. I never bought the fact that he was gonna stop being Batman for this. I never believed that for a moment. The thing that I'm wondering about, looking at some of the flack that Batman Superman got, some of the flack that Wonder Woman was getting, the issues with the Flash. The Flash is kind of stuck in development hell right now, and they're talking about going back to the ground floor on the script, like completely scrapping what they have and starting over. The thing that always struck me about the DC properties and the DC movies post Nolan is that they have a lot to catch up on with the MCU.
Yeah.
But, I really think that the MCU, there was no expectation. Their first character that they started off with was Iron Man. And so many people went, Iron Man, come on. And they knocked it out of the park. I mean, there was no better person to cast for the role of Tony Stark than Robert Downey Jr. I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, because
think about Robert Downey Jr. and the journey he's taken in his life.
Yeah.
He was a middle class Tony Stark, and his continued success beyond that, he's getting closer to Tony Stark riches. So I mean, he is that character at this point.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the studios had any pressure to deliver, and they weren't told, make a masterpiece, make a blockbuster. Iron Man was just like a happy accident. It was serendipitous that it exploded and did as well as it did.
Well, I mean that at the same time, it was Marvel Studios taking a big step because they didn't license it out to anyone. This was them doing it themselves. And then because of that success, they got acquired by Disney, which is it's now the billion-dollar juggernaut that it is. Oh wait, I think he's on Fox with the X-Men. Oh damn it, Juggernaut villain for the X-Men. Yeah,
yes, you are correct.
Sorry,
Fox
to explain
has
the joke but I mean, yeah. So, like, because that was going to be my next question, is because with me, I feel like DC, they are trying to play catch up. They're trying to run before they've learned how to crawl with these movies. Like they did do a good first step with doing Man of Steel, and I mean that in a Superman movie, not necessarily what we got. But I think what the problem is they stuck with the same director. They stuck with Zack Snyder to do the sequel, and all that, where it would work for a Superman sequel. We never got that. We never got, Man of Steel 2 or all that, like they did with Iron Man 2 with Jon Favreau directing that one as well. It was like, okay, now if you're going to do this universe thing, go to a different character, go to Batman, go to Wonder Woman, go to, whoever, and do that, and then bring, have Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice be in the same line as the first Avengers movie. So you've had this is me playing movie producer, playing the Kevin Feige or Jeff Johns role in all this. You would do Man of Steel, you would do Batman, maybe do the Superman sequel, and then maybe do Wonder Woman, just because she does have a little bit more. And actually, no, don't do Wonder Woman. Then you do Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, which would then lead into the Wonder Woman movie like it has, which would then lead into the Justice League movie like it's gonna do, and all that. And then you get all these characters, as opposed to, oh, we're gonna do this, then Suicide Squad, and they announce all these movies for the next 10 years, and then they're like, but they forgot to put the asterisk of subjects title to change and all that, like you see on every UFC fight. You know, it's like every pay-per-view is like, they'll do the commercial like, oh, it's Brock Lesnar versus Frank Mir, and Brock Lesnar's doing drugs, but whatever, asterisk, card subject to change. Do that, and it would be a better, us fans would have better experience here. So what do you think about that whole Corey moment I just had there, with my like what do you think about the future of the DC movies?
They need to score a win within the next two movies, otherwise there's going to be trouble. But I think getting back to what happened with Marvel is because there was no pressure, and it was the love of the material between the directors and the actors and actresses. They took risks, they took chances, and did things that ultimately paid off.
Yeah.
But it seems like with the DC properties, they're not willing to take risks. They're not willing to stretch themselves, and it really kind of shows. I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoyed Batman v Superman. It was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Was it an amazing film? We got to see Wonder Woman finally in a movie, which Gal Gadot, awesome. Ben Affleck's performance as Batman, amazing.
Yeah.
It had a lot of the ingredients for a great souffle, but it fell a little flat.
Just they had someone stomp right next to it, and the souffle fell.
Yeah. I Jesse Eisenberg, thank you. I keep wanting to say Eisenman, but that's the last name of the voice actress who does Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Excuse me. His take on Lex Luthor was refreshing. It was different. It hadn't been done before, and I kind of dug it.
Yeah.
And so they did take some chances on some things, but it just didn't seem like they reined it in the wrong places. It almost felt like it just, I don't know. It's one of those things where you watch it and you're like, well, that's okay. I'm not sure what I would change to make it exceptional. But
the ending of getting them to quit fighting because Lois said Martha.
I kind of understood what they were going for there.
Yeah.
You ever watch, like in the old movies, somebody's being really hysterical and somebody goes, slaps them right in the face, and they go, "Bruh," and they come to. That's kind of, that was that moment of reaching in, and finding that vulnerable spot, and giving him a slap that he needed to just stop.
Yeah.
So I got what they were trying to do.
Yeah, but at the same time, with how it played through the movie, it played more to me like this was Bruce Wayne. This was a Bruce Wayne who never recovered from his mom and dad's murder in Crime Alley by Joe Chill or the Joker or whoever, you want to say did it, and was suffering through PTSD. Like this wasn't the detective that we've had in every other iteration.
But quite honestly, in my mind, if you are going to dress in black and kick ass every night, you've got some problems. And years of therapy are not going to put you in that place.
Yeah.
You would end up still being probably more intensely Bruce Wayne and working through charitable organizations and donating money to police and fire and other forms of government that could better help, as opposed to jumping in and getting bones broken and doing it by himself.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's got to be damaged, and with the implication that this is post Jason Todd's death, Batman, it kind of made sense that he's still working through some serious crap. You don't watch your parents get shot in front of you and you go, oh wow, yeah, life's pretty good actually. I can find a silver lining here. It just doesn't happen. So
yeah.
So it was an interesting interpretation of what they did. So
yeah. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll find out all that later on.
Yep.
But yeah, that does it here for the news. We will be right back with the ElseViews.
Woohoo!
And we are back, and it is time for the ElseViews. This is where myself and Brad each bring two things to the table, because why stop at just one? And I normally say that we will do like some back and forth, talking about the other things, but I picked a movie and a TV show, and then Brad picked a video game and a board game, of which I have not played either of them. So yeah. But okay, I'm gonna switch up the order I had mentally with this, and I'm gonna talk about my TV show first, just because I think I'm gonna save my movie for last, because you guys will probably guess what the movie is. But the TV show I watched, I found it on Netflix, and it's called The Crazy Ones. This is Robin Williams' last TV show he did. Actually, it got canceled 4 months before he passed away, and the show I was watching it again on like a couple Sundays ago, and it was just one of those things where I'm like, I've been seeing it here. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it and go through, because I knew it only had one season. And apparently there was like a good half the episodes that either I forgot to, or I didn't watch, or forgot what they were. But this show was great. This show honestly did not deserve to get canceled. And so for those of you guys who do not know, right behind me on the screen, if you're watching the video, is the cast. This starred Robin Williams, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Amanda Seaton, Hamish Linklater, and James Wolk. And they are ad people at a marketing firm, and they're the creatives of this marketing firm, and with Robin Williams' character being the founding name partner. He just promoted, like recently he had promoted his daughter, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, to a name partner. And it's just the hilarity of watching them create these ads. The first episode is the one that they had the ads where they're pitching a sexy McDonald's theme or jingle to Kelly Clarkson. And the thing honestly that I love about the show is it's Robin Williams. And so it's one of those things where you sit there and you watch this, like much like if you watch reruns of Mork and Mindy, and how you hear how he just, like, they would have stuff written down and he would take the core of that and then he would just improv stuff. That's what this seemed like here. Like, again, like I mentioned with that Drive Through Love, and it's like him and James Wolk doing this whole song, and I'm like, okay, they had this, like, the creator or the writer just said the song is called Drive Through Lovin'. And then Robin just ran with it and all this. Even so much as, like, they do bloopers after every, after the episode ends and just before the credits. And I remember when the show was on, loving those. Because it was so funny. I mean, just to see, brilliant comedic minds across the board. But yeah, you could find this on Netflix. Have you ever seen The Crazy Ones?
I have not. It was one of those things where, and I think there are other shows that have suffered from this in the past. It's like, oh, this is a really amazing show. You need to watch it. It's critically acclaimed, and people miss it or say they're going to watch it later, and then it kind of withers on the vine, which is sad.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, it was one of those. It aired originally on CBS during, I think it was 2013, 2014. So it was one of those, like, it was definitely a hidden gem, and it got mixed reviews. A lot of people didn't like, I think a lot of people would have liked it if they had a different driving comedic force besides Robin Williams, because I saw on the Wikipedia page that they were talking about the reviews, and some people were saying, like, oh, it's just him going into his old bag. And I'm like, that's what made him his money, is not necessarily these distinct things, but his quick mind. I mean, he would go from one to another thing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've just seen an hour of your show in 10 minutes and all that. But there's one episode that I watched, and I had to stop for a minute, because it's about halfway through this season. It's the Simon, Robin Williams' character, is asked to do a eulogy and plan this funeral for a friend. Actually, I think he was a client, because the daughter wanted a spectacle and all this, and so he gives the eulogy, and I didn't see, Simon Roberts, the character. I saw Robin Williams doing this, because, and this is the other great part about Robin Williams. It was how he could go from hysterical to serious like that and all that. And it's one of those, like, looking back at it now, like, this was probably, a year before he ended his life. But yet you hear him talk, and he's talking about the guy loving, like, you want to see the metal of the man look at his kids and all that stuff. And I'm sitting there going, yep, that's Robin. Like, that's you could talk, you could play this as for a tribute to Robin Williams, him doing that whole thing, talking about his kids, like, especially Zelda Williams, who's, blossomed into a good actress herself, doing the main antagonist role on Legend of Korra, and doing other voiceover roles throughout that. And it's so good. It is on Netflix now. I highly recommend you check it out. They're only half-hour episodes. There's only 22 episodes, so they're really quick and all that. But yeah, I highly recommend those.
Cool.
So, Brad, what do you want to talk about first?
I feel bad that I kind of aced you out here. I thought that
you're good.
So Fallout 4 has been like an addiction of mine for like the past year and a half. It's kind of sad. Excuse me. But I have a console. I have PS4 that I'm playing it on. And one of the drawbacks to that is they promised for a long time to offer mods. And mods have been available for PC for quite a bit. And then Bethesda promised to get things set up for Xbox One and PS4. well, they had fewer hurdles to cross to do Xbox One and PS4. We waited a good probably 4 months, maybe 6 months before we too got to enjoy mods. You know, the core thing about mods and the reason why they're important is it extends the longevity of the game.
Yep.
You have the opportunity to re-experience the game and, you know, pick and choose some of the things that you really think would be cool to experience, or hell, make your own mods and do the things that you wanted to do that you couldn't do in the vanilla game. So now that mods are available for PS4, I've been playing it again a lot. So it's amazing now that it's really kind of started to cascade the amount of mods that are really starting to come in for PS4. And I played with it for a little bit and then got rid of it. It was pretty, but it didn't feel right for what I wanted to do with the world. And that's one of the other great things about mods is you can pick and choose, and the things that feel right to you or the things that interest you, you can put in or you can get rid of, you know, whatever. It's completely customizable. So the mod that I got was like completely redoing one of the core trading cities in the Commonwealth in Fallout 4. And it was pretty. But it didn't feel right. So I played with it for, you know, 5-10 minutes and jumped around and looked at everything and how they'd restructured it. And I went, well, that's nice. And then I promptly went in and deleted it.
That's me and you are very similar in that, because with me with Minecraft, because like I would do the shaders pack, or not the shaders, but the different texture packs and stuff like that. But I always go back to default.
Sure.
Mainly for the reason of, if I have to share, you know, like a build with someone, it looks good in defaults. You know, not just like, oh, and you can get the custom skin that I used for you know, the Serenity over here, to where everything looks exactly like it does in the movie. Or a lot of Star Trek ones do it where they'll have, you know, the working councils and stuff like that on there, that are just blocks. But it's like, yeah, but you need a texture pack. That's like time, and for a lot of people, resources that they don't have. But I'm actually glad to see that they did that, you know, Bethesda did mods for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions so quick, because that was a big thing with Skyrim. You know, I remember at the time, this was during the time that Revision 3 was doing the Destructoid show, and they were showcasing, you know, it seems like they had one every week of a new Skyrim mod. You know, and something would be like, oh yeah, it's the naked mod, but there was other ones that I liked, that where it was like it turned the dragons into Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. You know, and so it's cool to see that they get, you know, it didn't take, you know, 2 years, and like they're gonna come out like, hey guys, we released the special edition for consoles, and it has all the mods. It's like, nope, here's the mods, do it now, and all that, you know, within a year. And like because a lot of the things I see are creative mods that I would probably do that. You know, if I already have the game, put it on there, you know, check it out for like 10 minutes, take it off. You know, stuff like that. Like, or, you know, like putting Mario in there into, you know, Fallout, or you're playing as Pit Boys. Like everyone is a different Pit Boy, or stuff like that. I hope that's a mod. If it's not, it should be. But yeah, I mean, so it's pretty exciting, right?
Yeah. And I wish that I could make mods. But speaking of mods and speaking of Minecraft, we have a lot of game systems. We have the Xbox One, and we got the edition that included Minecraft.
Yep.
And one of the skin packs that they have is Fallout 4. And you can load up and it generates a world, and it's essentially somewhat like Fallout 4's structure. So,
Yeah.
and I did that for a little bit, and I didn't save it, but it was just kind of fun to jump around and take a look and see what they were doing with it. So,
Oh yeah, and that's the cool part, because with I guess that's the hook for the console versions, because this is, I'm not gonna say I'm a like a PC snob, but I only play Minecraft on the PC, and that's mainly because I have my community of friends that are on there. So it's like, I could, if you have the name of the server, you can go on there, you can see the Avengers Tower that I built, from scratch, only using a mod called Schematica that places a ghost image and tells me this block goes here, this block goes there, there's nothing here, the block goes here,
nice.
and stuff like that, as I build this whole giant fucking tower that took me a month to build, and stuff like that. And other creative ideas that I've had, and seeing other people, like there's a guy on there who built the Mass Effect relay in the end where you fight the dragon, and I'm like,
Oh wow.
oh, shut the fuck up. Like he spent like 3 months at least doing that, and I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. Because like I go in there, and I can't even see it all rendered, and I'm like, how are we gonna show this off? You fall off the edge of the world trying to see that thing, dude. But yeah, I mean, so that's what I always like about these community games, and Fallout with the mods would be just like that. And I will say, this doesn't keep me out exclusively, because I played Fallout 3. I didn't finish it. I sort of got stuck, and I think I was borrowing the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, Fallout 4 is on the list. It's just one of those, I know once I play it, I'm no longer reading comic books. I'm no longer doing podcasts. I'm playing Fallout 4. It's like it's where I go. It's where I go to Twitch streaming. Like, hey guys, I'm playing Fallout 4 today. They just see I look worse and worse because I clearly do not shower anymore. But yeah, so Fallout 4, it's available on PCs and consoles everywhere,
Yep.
and we will have links to it for Amazon. All right. So did you watch Logan? Have you seen it yet?
Every time we try to go see it, the universe stops us.
Okay. So I will definitely give a spoiler-free review. Tagline, print this on the poster, say that I said this. The best X-Men movie to date, bar none. There is no, you could try code, like, well, what about this? No, fuck you. No, best movie ever. um, and I think there's a couple reasons that made it great. This is an X-Men movie that has the least amount of X-Men in there, or mutants in there, and it made it work so much more. Like you look at the first X-Men or X2, 3, any of the first class generation, and there's I remember in X3 there was a big scene where it was, I think it was Colossus running through the school, or Kitty Pryde running through the school.
Yep.
And you just see all these different powers and stuff going off. Yeah, it looks visually great, doesn't do shit for the story. I mean, here you have Logan, played for the final time by Hugh Jackman, who is protecting Professor Xavier, played for by the possible final time, by Patrick Stewart, and then you have 3 other mutants in there, 3 other named mutants in there. Based, I should say, based on other characters, mutants in there. Some of which I will not talk about because they are pleasant surprises, even though some blogs go, the spoiler was in the movie, showing the picture of their fucking spoiler. It's like, come on, class it up, people. But at the heart of this, Brad, I think you will love this as a father, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I'm an uncle. That's the most I get to kids right now, is I'm an uncle, and by the end of this movie, I was damn near shedding a tear and all that. It's so seeing this journey that Logan takes, um, from where we meet him, which this picture is, early on in the movie, um, to where he ends up. You see a lot of growth in that. You see him going from lone cub or lone wolf to a family man, and
Sure.
all that. And it is the honestly the best capper, the best ender to these past characters, these past actors at playing these characters. The only one that I could theoretically see moving on would be God, would probably be like James McAvoy to
Yep.
playing Charles Xavier. That'd be the only one, but it'd be like they would then have to get away from like this is an alternate reality or something like that. Not really explaining it, like it'd be blog stuff like, oh yeah, this is an alternate reality. That's why we don't see Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique, or um blanking on his name, Michael Fassbender as Magneto.
Yep.
And all that stuff. But I mean, God, it's so great. And I honestly, I would, if you guys lived around me, I'd be like, hey, we're going to see it. Come on, let's go. Because like it's one of those, like, it's just so freaking good. The violence, I will say this for a lot of people, this is not a movie to go take your kids to. There is a lot of violence. There's I mean, you got a dude who has claws coming out, or who has swords coming out of his hands, and he uses them as weapons. So what do you think is going to happen? And all that. But yeah, very, very well done across the board. I love the Foley work, the sound. I always gravitate towards sound. If you can go to, I think they're the DLP theaters, where it's like they do the true surround sound, because I thought there was someone behind me talking. It was the movie. I'm like, what the fuck is going? Oh, it's the movie. Son of a bitch! Like, it was that good of sound that they had here. But yeah, go check it out. Honestly, this is well worth the money to go see it in theaters. There is no end credit scene. There is the pre-credit scene for Deadpool, which is already released, which I watched, and it has 2 extra scenes in there. They do not have have you seen that Deadpool thing online?
Yes.
So in the movie, they don't have the phone, him while he's changing, picking up the phone and putting it back, and then they don't have the Stan Lee cameo, which was fucking hilarious.
Oh
Like,
my God.
fuck you, Stan
Yeah.
Lee.
Well, and the only reason why I was going to specifically not try to find the trailer and watch it, just because I wanted to be surprised, but then I heard that Stan Lee gave a shout out and a thanks to Ryan Reynolds for putting him back into the credits with what was the post credit scene, sort of, or the pre credit. You know what I'm saying, for Deadpool, putting that back in. And to see the whole thing as it was meant to be done was just it's wonderful.
Oh yeah.
It makes me so excited to see the new Deadpool.
Oh yeah. So, and this is the cool thing for people thinking, like, who are worried that this Deadpool thing is going to spoil something for Deadpool 2. No. It is a standalone short.
Yep.
I love the Firefly Easter egg in there. Like, you got the Firefly posters over on the wall behind the phone booth. Like, I saw it immediately, and I'm like, I was shouting out, Firefly!
Yeah, that was his shout out to oh crap. Played in
Nathan Fillion?
No.
Marina Baccarin.
Thank you. That was his shout out to her.
Yeah.
To get her into essentially get her into the credits, as it were.
But no, yeah, the whole thing's good. Honestly, go check it out in theaters. Brad, you have a board game. This is weird. It's almost like you have a whole outlet where you could talk about board games, right?
Well, I do. I have a show called Adventure Party. And we, I and my co-host Glenn Bittner talk about games, board games, role-playing games, collectible card games, all sorts of a variety of games, and then we try to get a guest or we talk about something game related. So what we do as a part of our show is we have a Kickstarter spotlight where we find something new and upcoming that interests us, and we talk about it. Why it would be interesting to people that listen to the show. And one of the things that is very kind of prevalent to especially old school gamers like Glenn and myself was the great Satanic Panic of the 70s and 80s. In fact, if you have Amazon Prime right now, you can watch it was a made-for-TV movie called Mazes and Monsters, which starred a young Tom Hanks. And it kind of embodies the negative connotations that there were set for people who played role-playing games. If you played a role-playing game, you were going to hell because you worship Satan. It was like that generation's seduction of the innocent, blaming comic books for everything that was wrong with kids. So it was deemed the Great Satanic Panic, and as I was doing a search for something cool for a Kickstarter spotlight, I saw that name, Satanic Panic, and I went, oh, okay, you've piqued my interest. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is the game, this is a role-playing game where you work for a federal agency who is seeking out gamers and stopping them from spreading the Satanic Panic evil throughout the world. So it's like a meta sort of a thing. You're playing an RPG where you're playing federal agents to stop people from gaming.
Please tell me, because I'm gonna spoil some people on here. They have it's on Kickstarter. We'll include a link to it. But they have 20 days to go as we're recording this. They've already reached their goal. Please tell me, as a stretch goal, there's people playing a Satanic Panic game that you go and break up.
Well, I think it's like if you donate, or I'm sorry, if you throw in like $1,000, the guy that created the game will run a session of Satanic Panic. He will fly to you.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he will, I think it's fly. Hang on.
Hold on, I got it up here too. I can look.
I feel bad.
10,000 is the full Satanic Panic experience.
Okay, yeah, it's 10,000. All right. And it's like one of those things where, oh man, you're probably not going to find somebody to throw that out there. Wait, hang on. Wait.
I love this. I'm going to read this out for people here. This is what I love about Kickstarter goals. No one has done this, but it's $10,000, the full Satanic Panic experience. At this level, I will come visit you and your game group, deliver you each a special edition leather-bound version of Satanic Panic, spend a weekend running it for you, and then report you all to the local authorities for being filthy tabletopers.
Yeah, and God bless him. I hope he does find somebody to throw in 10 grand to this, because that's beautiful. If I were, I had $10,000 to just set on fire, I would do that just to say that I've done it. Because that's just awesome. It's like, your audience, the material, where it comes from, and you're pretty sure that the people that are on board for this have a general idea, or they'll do a search for Satanic Panic and find out that there's an actual history to it. And then everybody's in on the joke. So it was really cool to see something like that. And looking at the structure of the game, how they're making this work is just wonderful. And a lot of their stretch goals are like upgrading the quality of the book, you
Yeah.
know, the upping the paper quality, upping the cover quality, upping, doing things that don't necessarily mean it could possibly set back the timeline because they've got to now coordinate and edit and do layout for all this other stuff. So it's really cool to see somebody have that so simple it's brilliant idea and be successful with it. So that's why I want to, if anybody that is an ElseNerd listener, is an RPG player, I would recommend checking this out because it's so fascinating. I think that they might dig it. And just even reading all the write up and watching the video that they have for it on Kickstarter to give you an idea of what it's all about is just really cool. It's wonderful.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and again, like I said, we will have links to that in our show notes. But yeah, hey Brad, just so you know, you should probably do a show where you talk about tabletop board games. I think you might have something there.
There could be a future in that, son.
But no, yeah, so that's gonna do it for the ElseViews, and we'll be right back. And we're back, and it is time for the ElseWords. This is our main topic of the evening, and we gave Brad two choices. He could either talk about himself, or he could talk about other things. He chose other things. I don't know if that was the wisest choice, but he did it. Whatever. We'll move on.
I'm not really that exciting.
You lie. But no, we're going to talk about Vertigo founder Karen Berger is launching her own book imprint. For those of you guys who do not realize this, on the screen behind me is the photo of Karen Berger. This comes from Newsarama, and I didn't know, that she was doing so much in there. But she left the DC and Vertigo imprints on March 13th after a 34-year career at the publisher, and then came back or resurfaced in 2016 as the freelance editor for the creator-owned series Surgeon X at Image Comics. And so to see this, the book or the thing she's launching is going to be an imprint of Dark Horse Comics, and it's called Berger Books. And what this honestly reminds me of from reading the article is over in the UK, Channel 4, one of the TV networks, has a thing called Walter Presents. And it's this guy in there where he brings all these different, foreign language, different countries, dramas and comedies and stuff to the audience on Channel 4, or through on their website. This is what this almost seems like to me. Like, this is her, since it's all gonna be creator-owned titles. Like her, picking people who want to tell very interesting stories, but maybe can't meet the goals or get in, or didn't get accepted over at Image Comics and all that. So it's like, here it's her going, boom, done, and stuff like that. This seems really cool. What do you think about this?
Karen Berger is a comic book goddess. For those who aren't in the know, the Vertigo line of comics for DC would not exist without Karen Berger. Yep. The popularity and the chances that they took with, Doom Patrol and bringing that into the Vertigo universe and taking it to strange places. When they pulled Swamp Thing from main DC over to Vertigo so that they could explore more complex themes that the Comics Code Authority probably wouldn't be down with. The choices that she made and the thing that she built with Vertigo was enormous. And I mean, Sandman, that helped put Neil Gaiman on the map. And that was all really Karen Berger. So when DC made the choice to kind of shut down Vertigo and essentially pull, Hellblazer back into the main universe and Swamp Thing and kind of disassemble that, making a different editorial choice for the company and the lines as a whole, kind of left her out in the cold. She had worked so long and so hard to make Vertigo. I would have felt like I didn't have a place anymore. So it was kind of cool to see her be able to kind of move on and then work with another, an indie giant like Dark Horse. And it'll be cool to see what she does there. I have a feeling that she's going to do some great things. She's massaged and helped create so many careers in comics. I see her doing that again and helping do marvelous money-making things for Dark Horse Comics. So it'll be cool to see what she does.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, from hearing this, and this is one of those things like I hadn't read a lot of the older Vertigo stuff. To give you guys the other part, because I don't think he mentioned it, and I'm double checking right now. Yep. But Preacher, we would not have that on TV right now.
Yep.
Without her, we wouldn't have, we probably wouldn't have the careers of Garth Ennis, the career that we had with Steve Dillon, and all that stuff without her. I mean, there's a lot of things that she helped launch, and yeah, it does suck that things happened the way that they did. But at the same time, I do think that this is better. And I wouldn't be surprised with this being over at Dark Horse if this didn't launch some people, and it all depends on who goes over there. Like if we get them bringing other things into Dark Horse proper, because that's the one thing that I sort of noticed with Dark Horse is the books that interest me the most over there are the Serenity books. That's really it. The Tomb Raider books did for a while, but it would be older stuff with Hellboy, because that would, I love the movies, and and it's like I want to read the comic books, but I want to read what's going on now. Oh wait, he's dead. Wait, what? Well, come on, like that's sort of where I feel like it's like, well, sorry, kid, go read the trades. I don't got time to read trades. I want to read other stories that you got with him. But that's besides the point. I do feel like though that it is cool to see, more, more stuff out there, more comics. Hopefully, we'll be getting a lot more either stuff that we wouldn't think about from other writers, or new writers, new artists that she's like, hey, you got a good story, bring it here to us, and stuff like that. I can only see good things with this, right?
Yeah, just looking at, sure, now I can't remember his name. He created Shadowhawk for Jim Valentino. That's who it was. Jim Valentino jumped over with the Disenchanted creators and helped create Image Comics and brought his character Shadowhawk to the mix. And then that kind of phased out, and now he's like one of the people that goes out for Image and finds indie people and pulling them in to get their material out. So it's cool to see that companies like Image and now Dark Horse is indie, I get that, but to actively go out and have somebody who's there to just pull in and massage careers and help people launch things to be even bigger and better. I think that that's probably the future for a lot of the smaller publishers, to help grow and bring in different streams of revenue. So
yeah, exactly. And also could be, what gets us the next, people at the big two, at Marvel and DC. I mean, because you look at what,
sure.
3 years ago, 3-4 years ago, you never knew who Charles Soule was, or Soule, however he pronounces his last name. But with him doing Letter 44 over at Oni Press, and then DC took a swing at or took a chance on him, and he was doing, Red Lanterns and Swamp Thing, and now he's over at Marvel doing the Inhumans books the Inhumans books, some X-Men books, and Daredevil, and taking it basically like, here, you want to do this book? Sure, I got stories I can tell. And stuff like that. So yeah, I see exciting things with this. Well, Brad, thank you for slumming it with us.
I wasn't slumming. It's always good to hang out with you, Gregor.
But yeah, so tell people about the things that you do.
I do stuff. Oh, well, I work with.
Good to know.
The end. No, I part of the Galactic Network. I co-host the Alien Invasion, and have done that for a number of years. We mentioned the Adventure Party. Oh, I'm sorry. The Alien Invasion is a show about aliens in cinema and books and comics in whatever, and talking about that. And then we do throw in some interesting stories that come up from time to time, almost a la like the weekly world news sort of weird stuff occasionally. And then I do a show on Sundays that we talked about called The Adventure Party, where we talk about games and gaming. And I'm kind of finalizing some things to do a very short topic-based show, like 15 minutes, and talking about the histories of comic book characters. So
that sounds very, very good, very interesting, and all that. Yeah.
Yep. So considering my 6,000 comics I have in the basement and all the graphic novels that I have in my house, as I always say, I'm surprised I kissed a girl. Hell, I'm surprised I had an apartment with how much money I spent on all that. But hey, no regrets.
Brad, you see that Harley Quinn box right there? That's me. That's my first long box there, bud.
Oh boy. Yeah, I got about 25 more of those in the basement. Oh God. All that money, I look at that and I cry sometimes, but no regrets. It was a good time, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. And now, I've got friends that are like, oh, I've really heard about this character. I'm like, oh, dude, let me hook you up. I've got like a whole bunch of them you can read, and just so I've kind of become the library to help other people enjoy comics. So
that's how I am with a lot of my friends too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh yeah, tell me about this guy, and I'll just like stuff. I'm talking about stuff I haven't even read. And it's just like, this, and I'm like, where did that come from? Did I just have a stroke?
And you're not wrong. A friend of mine's son, especially when he was younger, they always said, he would watch a cartoon or something like that about a comic book character, and they're like, well, save the questions for your Uncle Brad when he comes over. And then Harry would come up to me and he'd ask me, and like, like when a shark goes to eat, the eyes roll in the back of the head to protect the eyes, and it just goes for it. That's kind of what happens. It's like, oh, you want to know about this? And it's like, and then all of a sudden all this, I vomit information out, but it's like, it's a little kid. So I try to, pull it back a little bit, but it's just like, here's all this information. And sometimes he regretted asking, but in a lot of cases, he thought that was kind of cool. And he's started to he's enjoyed a number of different comics, and that's been kind of cool. So
yeah, but no, yeah, we will have links to all of Brad's things. There, you have a Twitter, right? Too.
I do. I'm not as active on Twitter, but occasionally I'm trying to do more like announcements when Adventure Party hits. So just B Ludwig, BLUDWIG, Bloodwig. As my friends called me in high school. God, that was awful. But there you go. B Ludwig on Twitter is where you'll find me.
Ludwig sounds like a suburb of Bloodhaven, so there you go.
It sounds like somebody had a very bad day with a toupee.
But yeah,
The,
so that's
the
gonna
Bloodwig.
that's gonna do it for here for us. You can contact us by leaving us a voicemail at 805-328-3966 or emailing us mail@elsenerds.com. You can find all of our subscription stuff, our subscription links over at gncast.com/subscribe. And you can join us on our Facebook page for the Galactic Network by going to facebook.com/galacticnetcasts. You can follow the show or the network at ElseNerds or at Galactic Netcasts. You can follow the producers, Beatmaster on Twitter at Beatmaster80. Evan is at Mr_Fusion. You can see all of Corey's things that he's doing in the web comic world at don'taskcomics.com. And you can find me on Twitter at that Gregor. And there's something else I just was able to change it to that, or on Instagram at that.Gregor, where you could see photos of my niece in all of her adorable cuteness until she reaches the age where she's no longer cute. I don't know when that's going to happen. But yeah, the last thing to say is this has been a Don't Tell Glenn production. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.